ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। Yam pravajantam anupettya apetya krityam rapaino virahagatara ajuhava bhuteti tanmaitaya taravo vinedus tam sarvabhutam hridayam munimanatusmi Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Devyam Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshay Kiptastakamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Tavevasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So I begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, to Sri Guru Pada Padmana Chalita Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Stota Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru Pada Padmana Chalita Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Stota Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj and our exalted Rupanuga Varga. Okay, so now today we're reading the Krishna book, delivering the wives of the Brahmanas who perform sacrifices. After hearing this pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam with commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and hearing the Ananda Vrindavan Champu description by Kavi Kanapur, and then the Gopal Champu by Srila Jiva Goswami, and all that they had to say, and understanding that they were writing at a different time, and for a very special audience at that time, but understanding that their books would be going into the future as well. But I mean, their audience was educated to some extent, and that, or a great extent, and so they gave many beautiful insights and details. Now, how is Srila Prabhupada going to describe this? Because he wrote this Krishna book for the entire world, right? And he never held anything back. I mean, he always presented as Shukadev Goswami did. And he also presented the revelations of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and our other Acharya commentators. You see, when he was doing his Bhagavatam, that he had this large book there with these different commentaries that he would study and analyze and then determine what to present, and then very carefully how to present it. And he has said that, very similar to Sri Baladev Vidyabhusan, that Krishna was dictating to him, revealing in his heart what to say and how to say it. So it's quite remarkable. So now we've heard all the rest. Now let's hear Srila Prabhupada. The morning passed, and the cowherd boys were very hungry because they had not eaten breakfast. They immediately approached Krishna and Balaram and said, "Dear Krishna and Balaram, you are both all-powerful. You can kill many, many demons, but today we are much afflicted with hunger, and this is disturbing us. Please arrange for something that will mitigate our hunger." Just like the Bhagavatam, he's giving this. Requested in this way by their friends, Lord Krishna and Balaram arranged to show compassion to certain wives of Brahmanas who were performing sacrifices. These wives were great devotees of the Lord, and Krishna took this opportunity to bless them. He said, "My dear friends, please go to the house of the Brahmanas nearby. They are now engaged in performing the Vedic sacrifice known as Angiras, for they desire elevation to the heavenly planets. All of you please go to them. Then Lord Krishna warned his friends, these Brahmanas are not Vaishnavas. They cannot even chant our names, Krishna and Balaram. They are very busy chanting the Vedic hymns, although the purpose of Vedic knowledge is to find me. But because they are not attracted by the names of Krishna and Balaram, you had better not ask them for anything in my name. Better ask for some charity in the name of Balaram. So this is all just like we heard before, with very clear explanation of what Krishna is doing and why he's doing it, right? This was all arranged, even the fact that they didn't have lunch, that they're all hungry, to give him a pretext to send the boys to this place, right? And he knows that the Brahmanas are not going to agree to this. And he's warned them in advance, right? These are ritualistic Brahmanas. Their objectives are material, right? Advancement to the heavenly planets. They won't appreciate, they don't even chant my names. They don't know who I am, right? So he says, better ask in the name of my brother Baladev. Why? Srila Prabhupada explains. Charity is generally given to high-class Brahmanas, but Krishna and Balaram did not appear in a Brahmana family. Balaram was known as the son of Vasudeva, a Kshatriya, and Krishna was known in Vrindavan as the son of Nandamaraj, who was a Vaishya. Neither belonged to the Brahmana community. Therefore, Krishna considered that the Brahmanas engaged in performing sacrifices might not be induced to give charity to a Kshatriya and Vaishnava. Quote, but at least if you utter the name of Balaram, they may prefer to give in charity to a Kshatriya rather than to me, because I am only a Vaishya. So he's saying, in their eyes, I am only a Vaishya, right? So, being thus ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the boys went to the Brahmanas and began to ask for some charity. They approached them with folded hands and fell down on the ground to offer respect. O earthly gods, kindly hear us, who are ordered by Lord Krishna and Balaram. We hope you know them both very well, and we wish you all good fortune. Now, the cowherd boys are aware, even though, Krishna's addressing, I am the object of Vedic sacrifice, right? Vedaischa savayat aham eva vedyo, right? Vedanta krid veda vedeva chaham. I'm the goal of all that. And that's not, and that the Brahmanas should know that. And that doesn't cause them confusion, even though they are seeing Krishna as one of them, ordinary way. They also know that Garga Muni spoke in such a way that people could consider him Narayan himself, the Lord himself. For them, he's their Lord Narayan, right? He's empowered by Lord Narayan. He is exalted personality who Lord Narayan empowers and deputes to do duties like killing demons, etc. And he's done this many lifetimes. But for them, they know him as their friend, their cousin brother, the son of Nanda Maharaj, and they feel a great kinship and actually equality with him, a confidential relationship. But it's not inconsistent that others have heard that he's God, because what Garga Muni said could be interpreted in both ways, and in fact, both ways are correct. So, they speak in glowing terms about Krishna and Balaram. So, Krishna and Balaram are tending cows nearby, and we have accompanied them. We have come to ask for some food from you. You are all Brahmanas and knowers of religious principles, and if you think that you should give us charity, then give us some food, and we shall all eat along with Krishna and Balaram. You are the most respectable Brahmanas within the human society, and you are expected to know all the principles of religious procedure. So they're speaking in a very learned way as well. And even though it's not common that Brahmins would give in charity, they're also known to be very charitable in heart, very munificent, very generous. So it's not out of line to ask in this way. And they continue. So the Prabhupada explains that although the boys were village boys and were not expected to be learned in all the Vedic principles of religious ritual, they hinted that because of their association with Krishna and Balaram, they knew all those principles. Right? Why would they know them? What does Krishna say? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam, one who is always absorbed in me and worshiping me with deep, deep love, priti, right? I give great understanding, full knowledge of all scripture, everything, by which they can come to me. So this is absolutely correct. The Brahmins, they're trying to hint that to the Brahmins. They knew all these principles because of their association with Krishna and Balaram. By addressing the Brahmanas as knowers of all religious principles, the boys expressed the point of view that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna and Balaram, were asking for food, the Brahmanas should immediately deliver some without hesitation. Because, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, one should perform sacrifice only for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Right? Yajnatard karmano yatra loko yam karma bandhana. Yeah? So the boys continued. Lord Vishnu, as Krishna and Balaram, is standing waiting. And you should immediately deliver whatever food you have in your stock. So, hey, they have no hesitation, no shyness. Their love is so full that for them, it's completely appropriate and right. They should do this, and they should do it immediately. Our dear Krishna and Balaram, they're hungry. They also explain to the Brahmanas when food is to be accepted and when it is not to be accepted. Generally, the Vaishnavas, or pure devotees of the Lord, do not take part in ordinary sacrificial performances. But they know very well the ceremonials called Diksha, Pashu Samkshta, and Sotramani. One is permitted to take food after the procedure of Diksha and before the animal sacrificial ceremony, and the Shrotamani, or ceremony in which liquors are to be offered. The boy said, "We can take your food at the present stage of your ceremony, for now it will not be prohibited. So you can deliver us the food." They knew when and where, what's appropriate, what's not. There were Vedic sacrifices where animals were offered, even where liquors were offered to demigods. And on those rare occasions, people were allowed to partake of this liquor, right? This is a concession to people with attraction to these things, that with certain Vedic ritual, they would do that. The activity would become somewhat sanctioned and purified. So it's not that you go home every night and do this, but if you have a taste for this kind of thing, very occasionally and rarely. And the animal sacrifice, again, that was for the purpose of proving the efficacy of the mantras, because the animals, in this case, the animal would be a horse or a cow, not to be eaten, but to be brought back to life to show the efficacy of the mantras. There were other sacrifices of lesser animals, a different kind of yajna, for low-class people to actually take meat at those times, right? So they're just explaining all the rules and regulations. And at this point in your sacrifice, you can offer us the food. You don't have to wait till the end. Although the companions of Lord Krishna and Balaram were simple cowherd boys, they were in a position to dictate even to the high-class Brahmanas engaged in Vedic rituals of sacrifice. But these smart Brahmanas who were simply sacrificial minded, could not understand the dictation of the transcendental devotees of the Lord. They could not even appreciate the begging of the Supreme Lord, Krishna and Balaram. Although they heard all the arguments on behalf of Krishna and Balaram, they did not care for them. And they refused to speak to the boys, wouldn't even acknowledge them. Despite being highly elevated in the knowledge of Vedic sacrificial rites, all such non-devotee Brahmanas, although they think of themselves as very highly elevated, are ignorant, foolish persons. All their activities are childish because they do not know the purpose of the Vedas, as it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, to understand Krishna. Right? I'm the compiler of the Vedas, I'm the object of the Vedas, I'm the knower of the Vedas, right? In spite of their advancement in Vedic knowledge and rituals, they do not understand Krishna. Therefore, their knowledge of the Vedas is useless. Lord Chaitanya therefore gave his valuable opinion that although a person may not be born in a Brahmana family, if he knows the science, if he knows Krishna or the science of Krishna consciousness, he is more than a Brahmana and he is quite fit to become a spiritual master. And that is the principle of the Krishna consciousness movement, following the direction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is in fact Krishna himself, coming to teach the essence of all Vedic knowledge, and especially the essence of Vedic knowledge as can be practiced and understood in this age of Kali, in which people are degraded, they're not educated, they're not disciplined, right? It's a very difficult time. So Vaishnavism is very accessible to everyone in this age simply by chanting the names of the Lord. And by that, and by the subsequent study of relevant scripture, one can easily actually come to the position of a Vaishnava and develop the qualities of a high-class Brahmana. Right? But a high-class Brahmana who's only consumed with the ritualistic side of Vedic study for fruit of results, temporary pleasures, worldly knowledge, impersonal understanding of the absolute, these lesser goals, and they don't become a Vaishnava, that's very unfortunate. There are various details to be observed in the performance of sacrifices. They are known as desha, place, kala, time, pritag, dravya, the different detailed paraphernalia, mantra, hymns, tantra, scriptural evidences, agni, fire, ritvik, learned performers of sacrifice, devata, the demigods, yajamana, the performer of the sacrifices, kratu, the sacrifice itself, and dharma, the procedures. We didn't hear this detail in any of the other commentaries. Jiva Goswami alluded to some of it in his description, but Srila Prabhupada is giving it all here because his audience knows nothing. We know nothing about any of these things from our background. So time, place, the paraphernalia, the appropriate hymns, the tantra, the evidences, the fire, agni, the performers of the sacrifice, the devata, those who are overseeing and are the object of the sacrifice, and the head priest, the yajamana, the performer of the sacrifices, and the kratu, the sacrifice itself, and dharma, the proper regulated procedures. All these are for satisfying Krishna. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the actual enjoyer of all sacrifices because he is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Supreme Absolute Truth beyond the conception of or speculation of the material senses. Right. And that anything that's done for the devatas, Krishna explains, is actually the reward is empowered by me. The devatas are empowered by me to give any blessing they're capable of. So actually, the ultimate object of all sacrifice is me, though people unwittingly perform it for the devatas, right? So he is present just like an ordinary human boy, but for persons who identify themselves with the body, it is very difficult to understand him. The Brahmanas were very much interested in the comforts of the material body and in elevation to the higher planetary residences called Svarga Vasa. They were completely unable to understand the position of Krishna. So even though they were living in Mathura, one of Krishna's transcendental abodes that eternally exists, this Mathura Dham, right? It includes Mathura, all of Vrindavan is there, but they were not able to see Mathura as it is. They were covered, their vision, Drishya Mana Prakash, this particular manifestation, for them is covered by the external energy. They couldn't see Mathura as it is, they could not see Vrindavan as it is. And therefore they could not see the cowherd boys, the eternal associates of Krishna, and Krishna himself, who had come to perform extraordinary pastimes to attract the minds and hearts of conditioned souls and elevate them and to awaken, spiritual longing and elevate them to the topmost position. But although they took birth there, they were not aware. So when the boys saw that the Brahmanas would not reply to them, even with a simple yes or no, they became very much disappointed. They then returned to Lord Krishna and Balaram and explained everything that had happened. After hearing their statements, the Supreme Personality of Godhead smiled. It's all a leela, all a pastime for Krishna. He's smiling. Why? He knew this would happen. And his smile is what? It's an expression of his compassion. He still has compassion for these ignorant Brahmanas. Why? Because they're married to great devotees. He has compassion for all conditioned souls, but because they're married to devotees and because they're born in Mathura, they have a special opportunity. And this is a pastime which is going to help bring them up, right? They're not fully qualified, but still they're going to get great benediction. So he smiles and he consoles his friends, saying, he told them that they should not be sorry for being refused by the Brahmanas, because that is the way of begging. He convinced them that one who is engaged in collecting or begging should not think that he will be successful everywhere. He may be unsuccessful in some places, but that should not be cause for disappointment. Lord Krishna then asked all the boys to go again, but this time to the wives of those Brahmanas engaged in sacrifices. He also informed them that these wives were great devotees. Quote, Krishna says, they are always absorbed in thinking of us. Go there and ask for some food in my name and the name of Balaram, and I am sure they will deliver you as much food as you desire. So, carrying out Krishna's order, the boys immediately went to the wives of the Brahmanas. They found the wives sitting inside the Brahmana's house. They were very beautifully decorated with ornaments. After offering them all respectful obeisance, the boys said, Dear mothers, please accept our humble obeisance and hear our statement. May we inform you that Lord Krishna and Balaram are nearby. They have come here with the cows, and you may know also that we have come here under their instructions. All of us are very hungry. Therefore, we have come to you for some food. Please give us something to eat for Krishna, Balaram, and ourselves. So they're asking for themselves as well. Of course, the Brahmanis are going to be overjoyed that Krishna is asking, but also one who's a real devotee will be also concerned for those who are close to Krishna, who are beloved by Krishna. They won't think, oh, we're just going to serve Krishna and Balaram and these others can fend for themselves. No, they're going to want to serve and please all of them, because by pleasing Krishna's devotees, they're also pleasing him. And we heard that, how much happiness Krishna had when he saw his friends happily eating, and the joking that went on of Madhu Mangal and others during that joyful time. Yeah. So, what happens when the wives hear this? Immediately, upon hearing this, the wives of the Brahmanas became anxious for Krishna and Balaram. Oh, they're hungry? Oh, what? Their reactions were spontaneous. They did not have to be convinced of the importance of Krishna and Balaram. Immediately upon hearing their names, they became very eager to see them. So they are advanced Raganuga, right? Perhaps Ragatmika, except they're not quite perfected yet, but very advanced. So simply by hearing the name of Krishna and Balaram, nothing else is needed. They're inspired to perform service without any other consideration, not having to convince, oh, this is an important Shastra consideration, it's a good time within the sacrifice, you could still do it, this and that. None of that mattered. Krishna and Balaram, yes, immediately. Being advanced by thinking of Krishna constantly, they were performing the greatest form of mystic meditation. All the wives then became very busily engaged in filling up different pots with nice food. Due to the performance of the sacrifice, the various foods were all very palatable. After collecting a feast, they prepared to go to Krishna, their most beloved object, exactly in the way rivers flow to the sea. Right? So, they're on their way. Right? For a long time, the wives had been eager to see Krishna. However, when they were preparing to leave home to go see him, their husbands, fathers, sons, and relatives asked them not to go. But the wives did not comply. These are chaste Brahmanis who are always submissive to the orders and wishes of their husbands, their parents, right, their family members. But in this case, they completely neglected all of that. Right? It must have been so astonishing to all of the relatives that the wives did not comply. When a devotee is called by the attraction of Krishna, he does not care for bodily ties. Nothing, no social responsibility, no familial obligation, nothing. One's debt to the demigods, all of that is completely rejected. So the wives did not comply. When a devotee is called by the attraction of Krishna, he does not care for bodily ties. The women entered the forest of Vrindavan on the bank of the Jamuna, which was verdant with vegetation and newly grown vines and flowers. Within that forest, they saw Krishna and Balaram engaged in tending the cows along with their very affectionate boyfriends. So that is where we're going to start. That beautiful start where they see Krishna, the description of Krishna, what happens, the exchange between them. So far, I'm appreciating Srila Prabhupada's writings so much, how he has so expertly presented all the main points in the verses, philosophical considerations given by our acharyas, and weaving the verses and the purports into such a readable and attractive narrative. A remarkable, remarkable book, this Krishna book. So we'll stop here and Offer obeisance. Okay, I got to shrink that. To Srila Prabhupada, to our Guru Parampara, to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.